Hello, and welcome to the third time I have tried to make this video. I'm really hoping this one works. If you're seeing it, I guess it did. This video is about advising and warning. We all know kind of the basic advice and warning words. You know, you should do this, be careful of that. I was thinking about this, and this is kind of what this video is about, but this would have been too long for a title. Advice and warnings you might not understand. Some of the ways that we give advice might be different from your language, and also some of the ways that that we warn, of course, are also going to be different. So we'll talk about those. Some might be just a little bit too soft. You might not realize that somebody is giving you advice, and some of them are just a little bit strange. You might not know why somebody is shouting the name of an animal at you, but we'll talk about that later. Before we get started, I just want to talk about this. If you've been looking carefully, you may have noticed that I have an S here and a C here. That's not a mistake. There is a reason why I have those two letters there. Advise is the verb. Advice is the noun. So they both are spelled differently and they sound different, which lets us know which word it is that we are saying. Okay, so be careful with that. Also, one more thing, this is different in a lot of other languages. I know this because a lot of my students make these mistakes when they are speaking English. They say, I have two advices for you. Well, that doesn't work in English. We say, I have advice for you. So advice is non-count. When there's many things that we want to say we have several pieces of advice, but not advices. Okay, so keep that in mind. I have put the advice and warning into three basic categories. The first one is immediate danger, so pay attention right now. There's a bad situation happening right now. The next one is some type of gentle advice. I'm giving you some ideas that I think you might want to follow. And then there are some stronger warnings. It's not always clear kind of where that line is when advice becomes a warning. I guess you'll just have to kind of figure that out for yourself. Let's get started with immediate danger. So you may have heard, I'm sure you have actually, heard the word watch or look before. But this is a good example of when we add the particle here, that it changes the meaning of what we're saying here. Watch out is not the same as watch, and look out is not the same as look. Okay? Watch out and look out are much more immediate. They're much stronger. Be aware of a dangerous situation is what I'm saying. So for example, if you're driving along the road and somebody walks out in front, a pedestrian jumps onto the road, your friend might say, your friend in the car with you might say, watch out or look out. You might also say this if something is flying through the air towards someone. You might say, look out, here comes a ball. Hui! Like that. Not sure where that came from. Don't worry, that was just a drawing. I was never in any real danger. Heads up. So this is kind of a funny one. You may have not heard this before. Put your head up, look up, kind of pay attention. And we can use it, for example, if a ball is flying through the air, we might say heads up. If I want to throw something to somebody, here, catch this, I might say, hey, heads up, and then throw it after they were paying attention. So I'm saying something or somebody is coming towards you. Here's a different situation. Nothing flying through the air this time. In class, a group of children are in class and they're working very hard. The teacher leaves the room for a few moments. And so maybe a little bit less work gets done when the teacher is gone. The teacher is coming towards the classroom. One of the students sees this and wants to warn the other students. The student might say, hey, heads up. Okay. The teacher's coming back. So let's get back to work. Doc. if somebody shouts duck to you, don't shout back pig or rabbit or cow. It's not a game to see how many animals you can think of. What they're trying to tell you is to get your head down or to hide. It can be similar to watch out. There might be something flying through the air at you, or it could mean something different. It could mean hide from something or someone. When I was a student, I didn't do this very often, but I did do it one time. I remember a friend and I decided that instead of going to school, we would go to the mall. And I thought I saw my friend's father there. I said, is that your dad over there? He said, no, he's at work. But a few minutes later, it was his father. A few minutes later, my friend said, there he is, duck. And what that meant was just kind of get out of the way, hide, don't let him see you. These three phrases can be used interchangeably. So there are some situations when we could say any of them, but then there are also different situations where we would need to choose the specific right phrase to say. Let's move on to some gentle advice. Nothing flying through the air at us anymore. A word to the wise. Now, when you look at this and think about the words, you might think that you're saying something, you're giving a word or an idea to somebody who is wise. In other words, you are speaking to a wise person. And I have even heard native speakers talk about this phrase because it is a little bit confusing. But this is not what it means. What it means is here's a word or an idea that will help you towards becoming wise. So in other words, I'm going to share something with you that will educate you in some way, that will make you wise in some way. Word to the wise, you should get there early. They're always busy at lunchtime. It's a very popular lunch restaurant. This next one can be a little bit tricky if you miss what the person means. If I were you, I would. They're not just saying, well, you would do this and I would do that. Isn't life interesting? That's not what they're saying. It's not just a comment. What they're actually doing is they're making a suggestion as to what they think you should do. So if I were you, I'd talk to her as soon as possible. Okay. So in other words, in a very soft way, I'm encouraging you to speak to this person. You might want to think about what I'm really saying here is you should reconsider your idea or action. And again, it's not just a comment. Okay, I'm not just saying, oh, this is something, an interesting idea. No, I'm saying, think about this. Okay, I think you're wrong somehow. I think you've made a mistake in your thinking. You might want to think about how your brother will see the situation. Right? I understand your point of view, but you might want to think about how your brother is going to see it. You might want to think about can also be used just as a general suggestion, just so you don't think that that's the only way. It can also be used as a general suggestion, just something you may not have thought about. You might want to think about leaving early. The traffic may be bad that time of day. Okay, so this isn't kind of as serious. It doesn't sound like anybody's in trouble. Nobody's angry, but it is just something for you to think about. Let's move now to some stronger warnings. Now you will recognize part of this, watch out, okay? But here we've added a little bit to it and it changes the meaning of it somewhat. Watch out, again, pay attention. Right now there might be something flying through the air at you. You'd better watch out, and then we say for what, okay? For him, for them, whatever it is. Be ready for something bad to happen. It's another way of saying you'd better be careful, but you'd better be careful with respect to a certain person or a situation. You'd better watch out for your brother. He's going to be angry. So the next time you see your brother, just be careful because he's not in a very good mood. Okay? So that's what this means. Watch out for your brother. If you know what's good for you, you will or you won't, whatever it is. If you want to somehow protect yourself, you should do something or you should not do something. If you know what's good for you, you'll clean that bowl before you return it. don't take a dirty bowl back to grandma. Nothing good will happen if you do that. Right? Make sure you clean it before you take it back to her. Here's a different example, and I want you to pay attention to how this one is different. At first, it looks quite similar. If you know what's good for you, you'll stop making that noise. Again, when we first look at it, it does look very similar. Here's the difference. The first one, I'm talking about, when I take the bowl back to grandma, I'm talking about somebody else. This second one, if you know what's good for you, you'll stop making that noise. The second one, I am angry. I am upset. So I'm telling you that if you want to do what's good for you, or if you know what's good for you, you'll do what I say. I'm saying if you don't do what I say, I'm not saying I'm going to hit you, but I am saying I'm going to be upset. I'm going to be angry. Something bad might happen. So the second one here is really quite a bit stronger because I'm not warning you what somebody else will do or say. I'm warning you what I might do. Okay, so just be careful of that. It's a small difference, but it's a big difference too. There will be consequences. Now, consequences can be good or bad, but not when we use this phrase. When we use this phrase, we mean that there will be negative consequences. So there will be consequences if you come to work late again this week. Okay, you've already been late twice. You come again late this week, something bad's going to happen. You're going to get, the boss is going to write a report. You're not going to get the promotion, whatever it is. It won't be good. Giving you fair warning. I'm being fair by warning you that there may be bad results, right? If things don't go the right way. So I'm giving you fair warning that I expect this work to be done before the end of the day. Okay, so you've got a few hours, you've got a lot of work, get to work, because by the end of the day, I expect this to be done. Okay? So it shouldn't be a surprise for you at the end of the day. Or else, this is kind of an interesting one. Or else says there's going to be consequences, but it usually doesn't say what those consequences are. It just kind of lets it hang in the air. So if the right thing doesn't happen, there will be negative consequences. But what those consequences are, we usually don't say. Clean this mess up before you leave for your trip, or else. Or else what? Just or else. Something bad will happen. A lot of the ones that we've been looking at are basically kind of threats, right? If you do this, something bad is going to happen. This one can be used that way as well. Okay, if you don't stop annoying me, you'll regret it, and which is kind of similar to the one that we just looked at. But it can be used in kind of a more caring way as well. If the right thing doesn't happen, you will feel badly, and I don't want you to feel badly. Right? You will wish you had done something differently. I think the example is going to help us here. If you drop out of university, you'll regret it. So right now you're in university. I know it's not easy. I know it's a lot of work. I can understand why you don't want to finish, but if you drop out, you'll regret it. Okay? So this one, it is a type of warning, but it's not kind of a negative, angry warning. On thin ice. You may have heard this one. This is a fairly popular idiom. You're doing something risky or dangerous. You're not quite in trouble yet, but you're close to getting in trouble. So, maybe you made another mistake at work. Not you, somebody else, your coworker. I'm sure you're wonderful. Did you get fired? No, but the boss said I'm on thin ice. One more serious mistake, and there will be negative consequences. So I better stop being so careless with my job. All right, next one. There's going to be hell to pay. You're going to be in big trouble. Okay, this one is actually quite kind of strong, fairly emotional. And again, I think when we look at the example, this will help you understand what I mean. If your mom catches you lying to her, there's going to be hell to pay, right? Don't lie to your parents. And I mean, let's be honest, especially don't lie to your mother. She doesn't like that, and she gets pretty upset if you do that. So if you lie to her, there's going to be hell to pay. Okay, so that brings us to the end of this video. If you haven't already, you might want to consider subscribing. I'm just giving you fair warning that if you don't, you may regret it. Partly for the English that you won't learn, but also partly because you'll miss things like this. Like and subscribe. Like and subscribe. Like and subscribe and notify.